Hello, class. Today I will be doing a commemorative speech on my grandfather, who was my role model. Our lives on this earth are short. Unfortunately, there is no way of telling how short. Some people have a clean bill of health and don't have to worry much about their actions and just live life the way it was meant to be. Some people, unfortunately, have medical conditions and need to be very mindful of all their actions and live a much more cautious life. Life was meant to be lived mostly carefree, though. So people who suffer from harsh health conditions that constantly need attention will most likely have a different outlook on life than those who are healthy. As I mentioned in my first speech, my grandfather suffers from some very serious health conditions, although he lives his life as though he is the picture of health. He tended to his care's needs, but he also lived the way he wanted to live. He never saw his health ailments as an obstacle. I unfortunately also suffer from health conditions similar to my grandfather's. I was diagnosed with these conditions at a very young age, and at a young age, health can be a very scary topic. But I always looked up to my grandfather as he was my role model and handled these situations like a champ. One of the many things I've also learned from my grandfather was to look past health and live life the way it was meant to be lived. Yes, of course I take care of my needs and everything I need to do, but I still have a positive outlook on life. I learned a lot about poker about this time as well. Just because you were dealt a bad hand does not mean that you have completely lost. Winning with a good poker player can win with the worst hand. This is a saying I live by. This is just means that everything is under our own control. Our lives are what we make it. I used to be a real downer when I was younger and being introduced to these things, but as I've gotten older, I have moved past that and always find a positive. No matter what the situation is, there will always be a positive hidden somewhere. The trick is to just find it. And once you find it, life will get easier and be more enjoyable. These are some of the most important lessons I've learned from my grandfather, and that health is something that will never go away. It is something that we will carry with us our entire lives. This is just why we should learn how to work past it and find contentment within it. My grandfather not only taught me how to think positively, but he also taught me how good work ethic. He grew up working at his father's gas station and mechanic's garage. He continued working in the same field and becoming a mechanic and working his way up to becoming a GM later in life at his own shop. Eventually, he had to retire because he needed to focus more on his own health. This stopped his mechanic career, but it didn't stop his productivity. After his retirement, he became a full-time grandparent and worked more in his wood shop. He also eventually got a part-time job to help my grandma with the bills. He understood the situations at hand, but he found a solution that works for everyone to make everybody happy, including himself. He understood that he needed to keep himself busy to be happy, so that's just what he did. There was no project my grandfather started that did not finish. He worked through all obstacles to finish his projects. Most importantly, when my sister was born in 1991, he started a new project, making his dream truck. This would be the hardest project he ever started and took on. It took him nearly 20 years to complete because he wanted it to be absolutely perfect. He had a goal in mind, and anything short of that goal would have been a failure in his eyes. Unfortunately, halfway through building the truck, my grandfather suffered a heart attack. He lived, and although this threw a wrench in his plans and pushed back the date of the completion of the truck, he continued to work and persevere, and nothing stopped him. He finished the truck, and the family loves showing the truck at car shows today. This is a testament to his work ethic. These are lessons I have learned from him, and I believe I have a similar work ethic that my grandfather has as well. I see all the obstacles in front of me, and I take them on head on, and I keep fighting for what I want. Another lesson I've learned from my grandfather was to be happy in life. Like I mentioned earlier, lives are short. There is no time to be bitter or have hatred toward anyone or anything even. The most important thing in life is to find contentment and happiness. There is definitely some stuff in life that we as people cannot control, but a large portion of life is under our own control. This relates back to finding the positives. Life is always throwing us obstacles, but life is all about rolling with the punches and learning from our mistakes. My grandfather has had many ups and downs in his life, but he always pushed the negative aside and had a smile on his face and been happy. It was rare to see him without a smile on his face. To finish up, my grandfather has been my role model, and he always will be my role model. I hope as I get older, I become more like him. He fought his whole life through obstacles and never stopped fighting for his end goal. He always kept a smile on his face, and he always was happy. I feel like he has taught me a lot, but these lessons can be useful for people other than just myself. I hope this has been interesting and you learn a little bit as well. Thank you. We'll see you next time.